So a week ago, I gave you my initial assessment of what I thought the Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice was going to be like, and I thought I'd take the time today to actually review it. I did get to see it over the weekend. I, really enjoyed it. So if there's one reason you should watch my review, or that maybe you haven't, wondering why you can see mine after you're seeing all these other ones, is that maybe I'm going to be a little bit more controversial in my thought process about it, because I actually really enjoyed the film. One of my litmus tests for any film, especially when it comes to superheroes and Star Wars, anything like that, things that I liked in my youth, is to actually use my daughter. Now, my daughter's 7.5 years old. She isn't biased by the internet. She's not on the internet. She doesn't read reviews. She takes things for face value. There's no bias. There's no any sort of preconceived notion about what something should be. She's got nothing. All she wants is a movie to be great and fun and enjoyable. And so usually I'll ask her, so I've taken her to see Guardians of the Galaxy, which she loved. I've taken her to see Star Wars, which she loved. And I took her to see Batman v Superman, which she really enjoyed. The movie was a little long for her and maybe even for me, but for the most part, she really enjoyed it. Her favorite parts obviously were Wonder Woman, the music. She quite liked Superman and Batman. For her, really, the last second, halfway through the second act, through the third, that was where she was really into it. Before that, it was kind of boring and it was kind of long, and I think that's where the most of the movie actually drags. But I thought I'd discuss 5 things that I really liked of the film, and maybe a couple of things that I didn't like, because it is not a perfect film by any means, and anyone who watches my videos or subscribes to me here should know by now that I like to keep things fairly positive. I'm a very positive person, and so I'm not going to go into this film looking for something to dislike or to hate or anything like that. For the most part, I really enjoy films in general. I've watched so many bad films, but when it comes down to it, how many of them am I going to watch again? And that's what it really comes down to, how good I like a movie. This one I would definitely watch. I look forward to actually seeing this one again, whether I go to the theater again or whether I get it on Blu-ray. But anyway, 5 things. So the first thing I really enjoyed, which, we did talk about earlier in my videos, if you've seen them all. If you haven't, be sure to click through to check those out. But I love the costumes in this film. So that aside, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman all looked great. Even the side actors, everyone looked really good. All the supporting cast and crew, Alfred looked great, everything like that. But as far as performances were, there was a lot of hubbub about the performances and who they chose. A lot of the roles were controversial, even bringing over from Man of Steel. So, and they didn't really introduce a lot of new characters. A lot of people thought they were really stuffing characters, but there wasn't a lot of new characters. They brought back a lot of old ones from Man of Steel, so you still had a nice touchstone right in the movie. You had Swansea back, so he didn't need to be there, but now he's elevated to Senate. So, but anyway, Henry Cavill was fantastic with Superman. There was a lot of moments that I really felt his pain at really trying to be Superman and trying to be true to himself, true to his values, true to his both fathers' values. And it's been getting a lot of flack, his performance, but I really felt it. I really could feel, there's a point, and again, it's a little bit of a spoiler here, so if you haven't seen the film, maybe you shouldn't be watching this review, but there was a moment when the bomb went off in the courthouse and he's left behind in the Inferno, and a lot of people thought he just kind of looked bummed out, but I didn't get that at all. I got that he was completely pained, guilt-ridden. That's why he was still there. Otherwise, if he didn't care, he'd be like, he just float off. But he didn't. He actually stayed there and was hurt, and then he voiced that hurt later. I thought it was fantastic. Ben Affleck, the most definitive, comic-accurate Batman to date. There's a lot of people who think that he killed too many people. He did kill a lot in the nightmare scene with a gun, but other than that, he did do a lot of bruising, a lot of beating up, and there was a lot less killing aspect in his actual Batmaning in the actual core of the film. Notwithstanding, the machine gun fire and whatnot from his Batmobile, but you can't really fault this Batman for being any different than previous Batmans. Michael Keaton outrightly killed a number of his in his Bat film, so including the Joker. So in this one, no major, villains died aside from Doomsday at the end. So, but I thought he was great. His Bruce Wayne was pained. It was the origin story. Again, I know we saw the origin story again, but we did get to see it as a more of an opening credit type thing, which is what I was hoping they would do. And I think they did a great job. It brought the Waynes into this, into the 1980s and did a few different things with it, which was good. It left it for a powerful. So we got to actually be introduced to Bruce in this world in a very specific way and got to relate to him for the payoff later on. Gal Gadot, didn't get to see much of her, but she was phenomenal. The way that she grinned in battle, I can't even get over that. That was amazing. A lot of people criticize both Man of Steel and this film for not enough smiling, although Superman smiled a lot in Man of Steel, so I don't know what they were on about. But I thought she was fantastic. Great. She didn't look skinny, she didn't look short, she looked fantastic. So for the naysayers that thought she was gonna be horrible in this role, I don't know what to talk about, she was great. So performances were all fantastic, all across the board. Amy Adams was great, Diane Lane was great, everyone was good. Jesse Eisenberg, which is my second point here, and I'm using a whole point for this one because I want to talk about it. A lot of people think he was ill-suited for the role, that he was Joker, that he laughed too much, he was too jokey, or whatever their problem was. Lex, to me, had a distinct personality split in the film, and I think that was really shown off in the way that he treated the role. Lex in person, Lex as a public figure, was not the same Lex that he showed off to Superman, the governor, or whatever her position was after she dropped what she wasn't going to help him with. The way he treated things were two different ways. It's almost like his mask was his personality. So his jokey side, I wouldn't pick a fight with this guy, yes, it was over the top. But he did that a few times. That was over the top. He was always trying to be a conversationally funny guy. But when the cards are on the table, he dropped it. He was sinister. He had this long game of a plan that you're introduced right in the beginning of the film that goes all the way close to the end, that he actually has his whole plan on how to discredit Superman for whatever reason. He does not like gods. He hates gods and thinks that Superman treats himself like a god and therefore is bad, because either you're all powerful and all good, or you're all good and not powerful, therefore have a weakness. And that's how he broke it down, which is a fantastic way to break it down, by saying Superman is not all powerful because he has weaknesses, and not just talking about kryptonite. So I thought he was played really, really well. Now, again, people really try and compare him to previous, saying he was completely miscast because of previous Lex Luthors, but the only Lex Luthor that was really, really definitive for most people, and myself included, was Clancy Brown in the animated series. I mean, Michael Rosenbaum played an amazing Lex as well. That was a completely different version, and a lot of people hated that one as well. But when you compare him to other film Lex Luthors, Spacey and Hackman were way more jokey and way worse of the type of character that people are complaining that Eisenberg is like. So honestly, Eisenberg was absolutely fine. Number 3 that I want to quickly, briefly touch upon is the plot. And I'm not using it as a joke because there's a brief plot. There was actually a deep plot in this entire film. It wasn't as plotted out probably as well as it could have been. Especially the first half of the film felt like it needed to pick up steam. There's a lot of ideas there. The introduction of Batman was amazing. The introduction of Wonder Woman and all these things that were going on. Even the introduction of Lex and the way he was treating the government and how he's getting access to things was all well done, but they did disconnect weirdly. And I don't know if that was an editing issue or a plotting issue or both. But I think the overall tone of what they were trying to show, what they were trying to do, was pretty obvious. Lex was doing a long game of planning to discredit Superman. Superman was trying to deal with himself. Bruce was trying to get rid of Superman for different reasons, because he was afraid of him or because he was afraid of what he might do, and he had a personal touchstone. And that's the thing, a lot of the complaints about the film that I've seen online from people just in general and from critics was that they felt like all the character moments were too much. And I don't get that. I go to a movie to learn about a character, and you get to learn about Bruce's character and even Clark's character and Lex's character. You know, you hear things. There's a lot you learn in this film about each one of these characters and how they mean something, and right down to Granny's peach tea. So I don't see the problems there. Again, it was a little convoluted and it was a little long, but I don't think it was a bad plot. There was definitely plot there. It was just more subtle, I think. Some of the things that did happen were, this is one of my negatives, did seem like a little about face when Batman decided to be friends with Superman. And again, he did say it to his mom, and people took that way out of context. But again, he says, I'm a friend of your son's. He's not going to be like, hey, I just beat the crap out of your son, and now I'm here to save you. No, of course he's going to say I'm a friend of your son's. I don't think they're best friends, and again, Batman's always going to be a little distrustful, I think. But overall, it was good. There was a couple disconnected pieces where suddenly Bruce was having visions of the future with the nightmare scene with the parademons, and then of course seeing Flash coming through the space-time continuum that people thought should have been more of a post-credit thing, but they put it in the middle of the film, which I don't disagree with, because if they put it in after the credits, then people would be complaining they're copying Marvel anyway. So what gives? Let them do what they want to do. I think overall, the idea of how they plotted that out, that something bigger's coming and that they need to keep it firm, and they need to keep that idea going forward is what's important. And I think they did that. Maybe not in the best way possible, and maybe it was a little disjointed, and some of the editing was kind of weird, and there was some weird ways to introduce the upcoming Justice League members, with Diana looking through a laptop at some videos. I think it would have been better if Bruce was looking at that and that she just saw her own photo. So I don't know why they did it that way. It was kind of weird. It was kind of shoehorned in, but it was only like 30, 40, 50 seconds maybe, and it was cool. My daughter loved it. She loved seeing the Flash and Aquaman and Cyborg's creation, so she was all excited. And keep in mind that my daughter's, when I bring up my daughter's opinion of this film, it means a lot because she loves Teen Titans Go. So if you don't like Teen Titans Go, you're probably going to be like, how could she like this movie? It's like the polar opposite. And that's why it means something to me that she actually enjoyed it. So again, litmus test. Number 4 of something that I really enjoyed was the battle scene. The fight scene between Batman and Superman was short, and it was one of the best fight scenes in this whole film. It wasn't the best, because the best completely was Batman versus the thugs, and the worst was Batman versus the Superman thugs, because it looked completely choreographed. But the fight between Batman and Superman was really well done. Batman was very dirty. Obviously the clear winner. I don't think he could have been, but to the credit of the film, Superman did not go there to fight, and he was more beaten back. So he didn't go there to destroy Batman. He went to enlist Batman's help. Had he been going to kill him, he wouldn't have had to actually fight him, which then would make the fight moot. But Batman did very well. He came up with the kryptonite gas and used it to his advantage. And you know, a couple of the scenes where Batman's punching Superman's face, and as he slowly regains his superness, he has the hand bounce off and hurt a lot. So cool tones and cool things like that were great. There's a lot of humor in this film that just wasn't overt one-liners that, you know, like Marvel has had. So I quite like that. And the fifth thing, this video is gonna be so long as it is, the fifth thing that I really enjoyed was how they actually were able to mesh a couple stories. Now I know it's gonna be controversial too, because they're gonna think, some people, and I've talked with friends about this already, about how Doomsday should not have been here, and Doomsday went down like punk, and he should have been terrorizing the earth and everything like this. But really, when you take this film universe, this film cinematic thread that they're going to try and put through all these films to have Flash and Aquaman and Wonder Woman and Justice League Part 1 and 2 and Man of Steel 2 and all these other films have to go through. You're not going to get certain stories. And by getting Doomsday out now, by killing Superman at the end, that got it out of the way. In essence, I feel that way. I didn't mind it. Doomsday was a nice big brute that they could team up with. Another moment of unintentional hilarity was definitely Batman standing watching the fight, because he could do anything. And when the fight did turn to him, he had to get out of there real quick with his grapnel gun. So this Batman has so many gadgets, and I loved it. I was legitimately shocked by the death of Superman. I kind of knew it was going to come. I had a feeling. I just had a feeling that's where they're going to go with it. But I was shocked. I was completely shocked. There's a lot of people who thought that they didn't earn it, but Clark, Superman, Kal worked very hard in Man of Steel and in Batman vs Superman to show that he just wants to help. He just wanted to be there to use his gifts to help people. His earthly parents just didn't know if he should help, and that line gets completely misconstrued every time too, when he says maybe he should have killed or let the kids die, because he just says maybe. He doesn't say yes, kill them, Clark. He says maybe, because he doesn't know. How do you handle something like this? You don't know. And then when his mom says you can be their angel, you can be their saint in this film, and she says or not, because you don't owe them anything, that line gets thrown out. I don't know why it gets completely twisted, because really it's true. You can be all these things or don't. It's up to Clark. It's up to Superman to decide who he wants to be and what he wants to do. And what does he do? He does it. That's the big thing about this Superman, is he makes his own decisions. He's not there for a greater purpose. He's there for himself to help, and because he feels he should help. And so when he dies, I think it's very well. I mean, I don't like the fact that he had to do it, and I was like, no, but I don't think it didn't earn it. I definitely think it fit in with this Clark and this way of him dealing with who he is and what he wants to do. So some people don't like it, that's fine. If you didn't like this film, great. I'm sure there's a lot of reasons why you didn't like it. I loved it. I would definitely watch it again, definitely go to the theaters again. It's definitely gets a 4 out of 5 for me. There were some things I didn't like, but there were some things I absolutely adored. It's the definitive version so far. Wonder Woman is happening, Justice League is happening. I can't wait to see these things pay off for the films. I can't wait to see more films. Suicide Squad's coming up. I can't wait to see them. I was more looking forward to Batman v Superman over Civil War. I'm going to see that one too, but I was way more looking forward to it. Although I was quite looking forward to Deadpool as well, but that's because it came sooner. So I tend to wait and get excited as things get closer. So I'm looking forward to all the other films. I love comic book films, I love superhero films, but this one I was really looking forward to, especially seeing these characters' takes and twists. So if you liked the film or didn't like the film, let's talk. Let me know in the comments below. But don't just say things like the movie was trash, it was garbage, because that doesn't say anything. What didn't you like about it? Why didn't you like certain things? What did you like? What are the things that you actually, to keep things positive, what things did you actually enjoy out of this? I haven't seen a lot of negative reviews about Ben's Batman or Gal's Wonder Woman. So obviously those things were done at least mostly right. So anyway, thank you so much for liking this and watching this video. If you want to keep up with some of my other videos, I'm not going to always do reviews on films, but I'm going to try and start doing them more often. But be sure to click over here and subscribe. Click my little logo in this bottom right corner. But thank you so much for watching this. I hope, you enjoyed it. Like I said, I haven't done too many reviews, so I hope you really enjoyed this. Anyway, I will see you guys in the next video.